Okay, hi.
Hi.
Welcome to our first episode
Mhm.
of Prep, where it's getting good.
Yeah.
I like already good, but
Yeah, agreed. We accidentally read past where you were, I think, planning on us ending.
yeah,
So
land on like a really nice cliffhanger, and
yeah,
then
I got
we
to read past that
after.
and didn't even question it. I was like, wow, it really would have sucked to end right here. At least we're a chapter ahead of that.
That
I
was my
did not
plan.
mind that was an issue.
Okay, this is what happens when Delaney reads before I get the set of books.
Yeah, it was that was a first time experience of me finishing art section before you.
Yeah, well, that's because I just got the full set, for,
Hmm.
so I read this today.
Yeah. Happy belated birthday to Amanda.
29.
29.
So we read 1 to 11.
Yeah, we read 1 through 11, not 2 11. So we
So
got all D and 11 we'll get to at the.
So we start back with Selena as the King Champion.
Yeah. And before we started recording, I said that we had to save this recorded content. You said that you didn't have like your notes.
No, so like I have my notes, but like within the last 20 minutes of me finishing chapter 11, putting the book down, I lost the little thing that has all tabs on it. So
Okay,
it's under my couch somewhere, or my dog ate it, but
my dog ate my note. That's
I
a
didn't mark them. I finished it. I use it as a bookmark too, and I was like, they're gone.
so I tried something new with this book and just made notes and didn't write associations with them. Like I just marked the section. So we'll see if that works or if I ate it and can't remember what I was actually thinking about. I might I might go back. So we're both kind of into this blind with no notes.
All right. So
So we start.
we she's
Um
come.
can I just say something? Um
Sure.
the and here this is me being the emotional of this. Um, but the dedication on this one was for
Fine.
go to the dedication
Yep.
and best friends until we're nothing but dust and some, and that made me just be reading this. So, end of emotion.
This is why you're the Cancer.
And this is why I Assassin's Creed.
You couldn't have read Assassin's Blade first. You would still.
I'm not
Okay.
covered. Continue this. I think based on what I'm understanding,
Yeah.
still being spoiler for just my own assumptions. Hey,
Let right in.
open with chapter 1, part 1, chapter.
Yeah, there's part. So Selena comes in to this person's home,
Wild.
and it's really kind of a quick chapter of
A
her
1 page chapter.
1 page chapter of her supposedly killing this man.
Mhm.
And
I,
then we
can I just say, I was questioning this from this first chapter. I said, I don't think she's actually killing these people.
yeah. This
So
is a
I thought that already from kill one, supposed kill one. I said,
this is true sword overhead, nothing to confirm actually dead.
exactly. If we don't see a death, the death didn't happen.
Correct. So we get to chapter 2 where she's back at the castle, and she walks in to see the king and Dorian and Kale, and she comes in and bows to him. And I got my first mark. You want to guess what it is?
I wonder if it's mine because mine also on this.
It's probably the same thing because it's your favorite. point out.
You go first.
The king waved a hand at her, the obsidian ring on his finger gleaming in the afternoon light.
Yes.
Yes.
Same brain cell.
We love a good ring moment.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, okay. I did also. So I had that and followed into when the okay, I've got opinions too. When the dead guy seal ring was given another ring, two rings in one, not two rings, one page. That's questionable. Because I had marked the obsidian ring. Also, had marked like the page of I can barely recognize him, which had me thinking back to one page ago when I don't think she's actually killing people. And number two, I was like, maybe she actually did, and this ring is important. So I had conflicting feelings on that.
Yes. So then he's all torn up, beheaded, everything.
Mhm.
What of his wife? She takes out a hand. That is supposedly the wife's.
It is so interesting to me how like Kale and Dorian are both like, ugh. And I'm like, what do you think that she's doing? If she's doing it. And I was like, why are we so squeamish over this? Like, what did we think being the king's assassin or the king's champion was gonna entail?
Right. But like if I was also sitting there and then just like severed head thrown on the floor.
This is the equivalent to student homework. Like, this is the job, what the job is.
They don't want to see the head. They don't care that you're killing the person.
That to me is uh questionable. It's questionable because that's to me it's saying that all right, they know what's on, they just don't want the evidence of it, which I there's so much more to say on that that we simply don't have to get into right now.
All right. So this continues on. He says there are several people on a list of suspected traitors. I'm going to give them to you one by one.
So stupid.
So just um starting off with Archer Finn.
Archer Finn.
So we come to know that Selena actually knows well, and she's trying to hold it together to not show any sort of emotion with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
But then makes the stupid mistake of general as clients too. Girl.
just giving a little information that maybe we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But that's her favorite thing. So then we switch to Dorian,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who is getting ready for a council meeting.
Yes.
Still thinking about what Selena did.
Mm-hmm.
Also kind of contemplating that Selena manipulated him and didn't actually like him.
And then, like, to jump ahead to Kale's perspective, in this next part, like, he's doing the same thing. Are you being Selena? Are you being the King's champion? She's both. She wears both hats. She is all of, like, just, it's who she needs to be in the moment. So it aggravated me that both of them same thing of like, oh, well, Selena that we know, or is she being like the King's champion? She's both. She's all of them at all times. Like she's who she needs to be. And
But I think part of the way that Kale is asking it in this moment is more of like a, are you still like acting this way or can I talk to you freely?
that's fair.
Like I know that you have to put on this act for part of it, but where are we at right now?
Fair enough. I can see that.
So then as we continue with Kale and Selena talking about everything that happened, we get to this part that I just thought was funny. After she goes to dump the head or whatever, and he follows her there. He goes, I'd like to debrief you. Aren't you at least going to take me to dinner first?
That was great. That was great.
But he meant like actually getting details of everything that happened. So
Right.
they get to that moment and then they hug.
They do hug. Like a Like a big hug, like a very intimate hug.
Yeah. That he started.
And then insults her.
Correct. And then says, "You smell horrible." And then they link arms and go back up the stairs out of the sewer.
Yep.
Then we get to the part where, oh, the king had believed her, and we realize that she is not killing these people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of goes into the whole scenario of what happened with that person, telling them you have the option to leave, finds these dead bodies. But now she's like, Archer's going to be a little more difficult than that. He is a very well known person.
Yeah.
So then we end up getting to
You have to put my phone in.
end of 2 and 3, uh, where she starts in a dream.
Yeah.
She's running through the secret passageway, and there's Kane, and there's a Ritterak, and it's a nightmare. And I have the next thing where he gets close enough, and he whispered her name, her true name, and she screamed and she wakes up.
Yep.
So.
Yes. Yep. I'm glad we're very much on the same wavelength on this book so far.
See, and the thing is, like, you are just picking out things that, like, you read for the first time, and I'm just like, that's important.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, nothing.
We'll get to it in chapter 11.
Okay. Then she's awake, and then she realizes it's a nightmare, and then we switch to later in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
She's with Nehemia, telling her about how the next person that she has to deal with is Archer Finn.
Mm-hmm. And having Fleetfoot's size and heritage brought up again.
Oh yeah, he's a big boy, or she's a big boy now. She
Big boy. She big boy. Yeah, made a note of that because I was like, we're bringing up her possible heritage again. That has me just sussed out. So made a note there.
Okay. Continuing with the talking about the plans.
Mm-hmm. Whatever the plans are, because the plans, quote unquote plans, italicized plans, has been brought up so many times in this first section.
All the plans. Couldn't have come up with anything better.
Uh-huh.
And Selena kind of like nudges into her, like, what's the deal here?
Uh-huh.
Nehemia starts talking about the labor camp, and then she's talking about her people, and that the king won't meet with her anymore.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I have to do something. What do I do? When do we act? And she's like, whole thing going off like.
And that kind of had like that whole thing, and then like just before that, listen, we made it how many? Almost 20 minutes without a different fandom reference in here.
Oh boy, here we go. What do we got?
Well, no, but it had me thinking about how in Rogue One, do you know what I'm gonna say?
No, I'm not into it as much as you are.
All right, fair. Well, like in Rogue One, there's this whole quote from Jyn Erso, and she's like, well, looking at, the flag that's up right now, it's not a problem if you don't look up and like look at what all is going on. And it's very much that same kind of thing here, where she's like, yeah, she wanted to be free of the king, but she wanted nothing to do with whatever plots were brewing in Rifthold and whatever desperate hope the rebels still savored. To stand against the king would be nothing but folly. They'd all be destroyed. So it's just like, obviously, this is going to become our main war.
You didn't put that together already.
But it's that whole sentiment of like, well, it's not worth it to fight because like we're all just gonna, and that's the easiest way to be able to, have this kind of like a ruler be in charge, is just for everybody to be like, well, there's nothing that we can do, so we're not going to do anything
So they
till they do something. Which I'm sure is going to come up at some point in the next 7 books.
If we'll get to that in 7.
We'll get there eventually.
Okay. We get to Kale.
We get to
They're on the-
Kale.
And then they're doing a little talking here on the run. And she noticed something is wrong with him.
He's still upset about killing Cain, which is wild because Cain sucked so much. If you're gonna have a first kill, that's a pretty valid one.
This is just on his conscience. And then he's like, do you think about the people you've killed? And she's running through her head like, you're really gonna come at me with this? Like,
gets really defensive about it, yeah.
Until she realizes that he's talking about himself.
Right.
And then she goes on to be like, I've never forgot the people I've killed, even the ones that survive. I still see their faces, remember the exact blow it took to kill them. And then tries to go on and be like, you didn't assassinate Cain. Like, it was necessary.
It was to be able to save her.
Yes, which we're getting into the feelings, the urge to lean into her warmth was staggering. There was a line between them.
Burn out.
And then they leave the park. They go in, they're walking through the gardens, all the little ladies are out to watch him walk in after his...
Which is so valid.
She's literally just like so obnoxious about it. She's like, oh, please.
Yep.
Out loud. And he just like honestly has no idea. And then they run into Dorian, who is with Roland, Dorian's cousin, who Selena can immediately tell that Kale does not like.
We don't like his vibes.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
So yeah, then they have a little chit chat. She's like making the comments like, if Kale was looking at me like that, I'd be running.
Yep.
Dude, I like this man. And go to Dorian's perspective now of him talking with Roland. Is she for just your father's use? Or
that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah, and like, no, you can't have her.
He's like, no, I'm just curious. I'm not gonna do it. I was just thinking about it.
I was just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it. I did.
Oh,
Back to Selena's perspective, and Dorian is just chilling in her room.
Yeah, I will say, I do love that she's like, I'm getting paid so much and I'm spending it on clothes and books, which is...
Books and jewelry and all the nice things that I want because I can.
And books and books and books.
So, they start having a little chat. And, she kind of mentions that she misses him, just being around him. And she's like, what do you want? And he wants to be friends, which is what she said, but they haven't like actually talked or hung out. And then they still kind of go back and forth with their little comments until we get to the end of this last page. And Dorian is like, do you want me to fight for you? Is that it? And then she says no and hurts Dorian's feelings and he leaves like a sad little puppy.
Poor guy.
Poor man. But he's obviously still in his feels about this. And we get to 5, where we are watching Archer kind of. We do get to the part where it feels like a little more personal to her because all of these other missions have been outside of Rifthold, and now she's like back in what she was doing before she was captured.
Right.
So it's making it a little bit different. So she kind of watches him for a little bit, then she comes back and she's in Kale's room.
And just hangs out in Kale's room, which is also wild.
But she doesn't want to be alone, and she can't go hang out in Dorian's room because that would just give the wrong impression. So yeah, we're just chilling. And then he makes a comment that she was sleeping.
She's like, no. And he's like, no, I heard you snoring.
Yeah, and then
she's like, no way.
Then we get into the conversation of why we actually hate Roland.
Yeah.
Where Kale kind of explains some of the many incidents. And we're
getting
testy.
We get into like tea after that. Yeah.
Here.
Like there's a lot of lore that gets unlocked here.
Yeah. So we have her asking about Rourke Ferran. I go on.
Yeah.
Who is obviously somebody that she does not like, and we now find out is dead 9 months ago. He was murdered by someone named Wesley, who is Arobyn's personal guard.
Yes.
Fucking obviously, Kale. How to be his little protege and not know the guard. Okay. So then she's asking what happened to Wesley. Find out that Arobyn killed Wesley, who is personal guard.
Yep.
They find out that Wesley's body was impaled on a fence outside of Rourke.
Yeah. Wild.
Supposedly alive.
Uh-huh.
So we figured out that he killed him, and they left the body there. Gross. And then Kale's like, well, we never really learned, like, why. Like, what did he have against Ferran? And then, like, it was an act of revenge. Like, obviously she knows. So she goes into the story about how Ferran captured, tortured, and murdered one of her companions. And
AKA Sam.
Did not end well for her. Which we have a whole book before this.
That's how I feel about reading Assassin's Blade.
So we figured out that this was the night she was captured. And he's like, I thought you didn't know who betrayed you. And she's like, I still don't. You're in denial. And then he's like, what's his name? She says Sam. So then I was confused because I thought he knew about this, but I guess she only told Dorian. So.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't even know where they buried him. I don't even know who I would ask about it. I failed in every way that counted. I failed him. And then I marked on the next page. Not in one way. I bet he would have wanted you to survive, to live, so you didn't fail him. Not in that regard. Wise words from Kale here. And then she's like, cannot look at him or she's gonna burst into tears. Like that. So then.
And then Kale has his whole moment of being like, well, this is my lore. This is my level 3 lore. Level 3 friendship unlocked.
What's wrong with you?
That's what it is. They've like reached this level of friendship where like they get new lore unlocked.
Okay.
Anyway, we learn why Roland sucks.
Yeah, we hate Roland. And then she's like, you loved her. And he's like, did Sam love you? Very much. Oh, darn.
And he's like, you know what? I'm tired.
I'm
tired. This conversation's over.
This is a emotion for me right now. So, and then he's like, I'll walk you back to your room. And she's like, I didn't need an escort anymore. And he's like, this is what friends do.
And she's like, would you do it for Dorian?
He's like, what about your lady friends? If I had any lady friends, I would certainly extend the offer. I'm not sure you qualify as a lady.
Which is great.
Walk back, and then right about as he's about to leave, she's like, for what it's worth, Kale, if she picked Roland over you, that makes her the greatest fool who ever lived.
Yep.
So now we're at
And she's like, you know what? I'm glad I don't have to be jealous of Lethane.
So Kale had just left. Now she's pacing. She can't do anything. Like, all right, let's go to the library. And then we some creepy thing by the library.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want to see at midnight in front of the library.
So this person sniffed at her.
Hate that.
Like an animal. And then the eye of Lena starts glowing and scares it away. Bad vibes.
And she said, Selena didn't go into the library. Oh no, she just walked quickly back to her room.
Yeah, and then she can't stop thinking about the plans.
Italicized.
6, where we have she's still running back to her room, but not running, just swift walking. There's an eclipse, some sort of something happening where she's like,
yeah, we have an eclipse, immediate alarm bells.
Yeah, and she's like, all right, I gotta go in there because I need Elena to tell me that this was not real and this was just a random thing, even though that's not gonna happen. So she asks Fleetfoot, "You want to come?" And she's like, "Absolutely, fuck that."
Like, no way.
And we get to the door after the arches in the hallway, and we have to knock. Startled by the talking door knocker. My absolute favorite thing, which I have seen, and you will continue to see, is that Mort, that we learn this is Mort,
Uh-huh.
which even though it doesn't make sense because this is a door knocker and not a handle, but
Uh-huh.
do you know the animated
Alice
door?
in Wonderland?
Yeah. That is Mort. Everyone and their mother refers to that as Mort.
All right, cool. Because that was the immediate thing that popped up for me was like the Alice in Wonderland doorknob.
Yeah. Is this supposed to be like a creepy skull knocker? No, it's not. Not to us.
Oh, that's great.
So then we learn that the old magic, the king can vanish away. Things back a very long time ago, just the new ones that were born and have magic, so that's why. And she's like, "You're alive?" She's like, "Bitch, I'm bronze. I'm not alive. I'm a door knocker. Like what?"
What do you mean?
So they kind of get through all of that. He's like, "Elena's not well." Is she here? Of course she's here. She's been here for thousands of years. He's got
Great.
Then we get to another thing on the next page. Mark anything on the next page.
What page are we talking about? Or are you talking about 49 or 50? I didn't mark anything on 49 except for the doorknob laugh at the thing laughing.
What is your name? Selena started off, and the skull barked to laugh. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've heard in century.
I feel like the doorknob knows things that we don't know.
And then obviously she's not there, coming. She needs to regain her. And then there's a message that she did leave, and he just like creepily in her voice this message.
Yeah. Okay, wait a second. So I did have a thought. I had two thoughts. Thought number one was that this room is the upside down. Because the stars are on the floor and the trees and flowers are on the ceiling.
Okay.
So we've got one. And then number two, at the top of 51, we've got the sword, the special sword. And I don't know if this is something that had been like, if this is the description that we got on it before, and I'm just like now making more, like noticed it more. But it says its hilt was silvery gold and had little ornamentation save for a pommel in the shape of an eye. No jewel lay in the socket. It was only an empty ring of gold. I was like, I don't remember having this description before. So now I'm thinking that the Eye of Elena belongs in that little empty spot. Your poker face is bad.
I gotta be honest. I don't remember
Bad.
to go in there, but it is something.
It's eye shaped. We have the Eye of Elena. It makes sense.
See, but the whole reason I'm rereading is because my memory is shit. And I honestly, right now, couldn't tell you.
But something goes in there.
Yeah.
All right, heard.
Two things in my mind that it could possibly be. That being one of them, but I honestly don't.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So then we learn the message.
The message.
That she's got to stop the king.
Mm-hmm.
There is another little thing that I thought you might have marked, which I did not, but I read it and I was like, "Oh, Delaney might mark."
What was it?
I don't know. Where did it go? Oh, maybe it's not in this chapter.
Oh, well.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
Okay.
It was definitely about like this that was happening though. So.
Okay. I don't have anything marked in this chapter.
All right. We move on to chapter 7.
Chapter 7.
Where Selena wakes up with a headache and then she looks at the candle and she realizes, all right, that actually happened, wasn't a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And now she needs to go conveniently run into Archer Finn.
Yep.
Gale. It's like, oh, we're gonna go on a little adventure.
Yep.
So her and Kale go out into Rifthole, and they are accidentally going to run into Archer Finn at tea.
Yep.
And she's like, do not say anything. Do not talk. Do not do anything. You look like you're going to kill someone. And he's like, I'm just here for decoration. She's like, yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
They're just kind of chilling outside the door, trying not to make it too obvious until they run into Archer coming out, where they run into each other. He calls her Lena. And
just another name. I'm going to start keeping a running list of this girl's names.
Okay, so what do we have so far? We have Lillian.
We have Selena. We have Lena. We have whatever Nehemia's name was that she gave her.
Alentia.
Yep.
Alentia. I don't remember. Selena, Lena, and I think that was it.
Yeah. For now.
Oh, the King's Champion. I guess we can count that as a name.
Sure.
So they're talking to Archer. I almost didn't recognize you. The last time I saw you, you were 13. You filled out more. Ooh.
Yucky.
And then kind of like nods to Kaylin's like he knows everything. Like Kaylin knows who I am. So they kind of talk about how she works for the king now. Does Arabin know you're back?
No. No. He probably does. Probably.
But probably knows. He apologizes about Sam, and then she kind of like cuts it off. She's like, all right, I need to go. This is a little too much. They were quiet walking back with Kale, and he is apparently very jealous. He's not even the teenage one. He's little teenage boys. He's the older one.
Yep, exactly. He should have a higher threshold.
So it's kind of like cooling off a little bit before he says anything. Lena is the first thing that he says. And she's like, all of the things that he said, that's the one that's going to bother you, that he has a cute pet name for me.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. And then he's kind of thinking about it, which he feels like he shouldn't, that he's kind of happy that she's going to kill him.
Yeah.
She makes the point. I just want you to know that I hate it when he calls me Lena. And you never tell anyone. You want to know why? Because
he's going to use it.
I told my students that I
Mandy?
hate it now Mandy every single day. It's no longer Mrs. Michaud. It's Mandy.
Yep.
And I can't stop. I'm not going, like, why am I going to fight it? Shout out to 4A. Call me Mandy. Then we head into 8, which was after this, the first place we were going to stop. And we're like, nah, we're just going to keep reading. They talk about how they have to guard this big dinner that is at the castle.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Lena's standing guard, and so is Kale, but Dorian's obviously at the dinner. He is working with...
When they were talking about Duke Parrington, the hulking brute, also sat there. All right, in my mind, I don't remember like a physical description of Duke Parrington. So
there definitely was one.
I'm sure that there was, but I think in my mind, like Kane was the big guy, and Duke Parrington was the Duke of Wesselton from Frozen.
See, you said that, but I didn't think, like, when we were talking about him originally, I didn't think you were thinking,
no,
like...
physical description also. Like, that's what was in my brain. Like, that is who I see him as. So when they said the hulking brute, I was like, who? Yeah.
I never really made a connection for, like, a physical description until right now, and you started talking about that. I was like, if I had to compare him to someone, which I don't know if it's completely accurate with everything the way he was described in the first book, because I honestly couldn't tell you how he was. I forgot. So
you've already read it twice, and you still have no idea.
Vernon Dursley.
Oh,
like muscly.
Okay. Huh?
Like,
that's a weird thought.
That's who something.
Okay.
Lines was what I was picturing.
No, I had the Duke of Wesselton. Just scrawny little dude.
There is a guy though later that you could describe as him.
Okay. All right. I'll hold the image. I'll swap it out for now.
Yeah, no, he's like a big burly guy.
I'll make the adjustment. I'll make the casting adjustment.
Anyway, so Dorian is with Roland. They're talking to these girls, and
Uh-huh.
Dorian's perspective, where he knows Selena's looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they just kind of keep looking at each other, and then Dorian is like, "I gotta get out of here,"
Yeah.
because he sees Selena looking at Kale and was like, notices how her face changes when he looks.
How
Honestly,
dramatic.
I'm
Right. Get over yourself.
nothing, not a hint of emotion. Dorian's temper flared so fast that he found himself struggling for control, especially as she looked away again, and her focus returned to the captain and stayed there. Enough was the last straw.
I can't.
So Selena chases after him.
Uh-huh.
Okay, kind of weird. Um, and she's like, "What is wrong?" And he's like, "Nothing's wrong. You look like you're gonna splatter someone against a wall." And he's like, realize he's making a face that seemed that angry. So she keeps following him, and he like turns around and he's like, "If you have something to say, say it. Like, come out with it." And then they kind of argue about Roland, and then
Can you pronounce this place for me?
I don't know, Maya. Why? What did you think it was gonna be?
Meh.
There's an A in there.
Meh.
Eh,
Meh.
all right, it's kind of meh. So he's like, he's gonna use you, and he's like, oh, the same way that the assassin from Enderby used me.
I can't stand him right now.
I don't know what to think. And then she gets super fucking pissed off, and she's like, I think you're so what you want, and you didn't get what you want this time, and now you're acting like a spoiled little brat. And then he freaks out. He's like, you know nothing about what I wanted, and you wouldn't even let me tell you. I want to know. Tell me. Tell me what you.
Yeah, listen, we all knew what he wanted, and
Yeah.
she stopped it before it could get to that point, which is like smart.
Yeah, but she doesn't realize how much he wanted.
And then,
The end of this, and we're just we're with Kelton, which this would have been where we ended if we didn't decide to keep reading to Ted.
yes,
Hello, hello, Selena. So we get here. She's in the cell. Selena's eyeing everything around.
we do
Selena,
not have good conditions going on here.
I'm busy today. Come back another day, bitch.
Honestly, I love that. I love that for her. She's like, no.
She's like, nah, we're not gonna do this right now, actually. Um, so really, she's asking her about Roland.
Yeah.
It's like, I would have never been like, oh, let me go ask Kelton in the dungeons about Dory.
Right.
But like, she is the one who probably knows him the most. That would say it.
Uh-huh.
So then she's like, well, get me that out of the cell and I'll tell you. And then we get a little like, well, why don't I come in the cell? And she's like, don't. And we see
Uh-huh.
that Parrington comes in the middle of the night and nobody looks either way.
Yep.
And now she's kind of questioning, like, do you ever hear about Parrington's plans? She's like, no.
No, all she hears is auditory hallucinations.
Yes. So we get to this point where Selena gives Kelton her cloak.
Yeah.
We also get back to that part where all she hears is flapping wings.
Uh-huh.
First book, and Selena's like, this bitch is crazy because she's a no windows.
Uh-huh.
So then Kelton keeps saying some weird stuff that we don't really know. Selena thinks she's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Leaves. And now we're back with Nehemia.
Yes.
Selena kind of explaining what happened with Kelton. We get to the part where Selena's like, I already talked to Kale. And then we learn that Kale went and beat the shit out of them. It's like, damn, Kale, okay.
Go off, Cal.
Stand on business.
Mm-hmm.
And Nehemia starts talking about how the courts weren't always like this. There was a time when it was about honor and loyalty. And then she brings up Terrasen and was like, that King Orlon and his circle, like, it was actually loyalty and bravery. And that's why they targeted Terrasen first, because he would have been the one to overthrow this whole shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just murdered them. So.
And I've got so many thoughts about that.
Um. then Nehemia's like, do you think another court could rise again? Like, not here, but just like anywhere. They mention Gwendolyn still follows the old ways, but they're across the ocean and they do us no good.
Mhm.
And she's kind of like trying to blow off the conversation, like, this is talk up out over breakfast. Can we like chill?
Mhm.
About, like planning a whole rebellion when I'm working for the king.
Mhm.
And we learned that Roland is supposed to be here to kind of distract Nehemia, and she's like, I don't know who I feel bad for more, you or Roland.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, we got things to do.
Mhm.
Get to 10, where we were supposed to stop with this chapter. But we start with Dorian, who we learn is with Kale. They're going through the kennels because Holland's here.
Who's 10 years old and this annoying?
Yes.
Wild.
Do that.
Wild.
He's the worst. They're avoiding the 10-year-olds. These 19.
So that's like such like older sibling activity.
As two older sisters, we know.
Yeah.
We both have a younger brother.
Younger brother. Yep.
Sorry, no boys allowed.
Love you, Nick.
So they're going through the kennels to avoid him.
Mhm.
And there's
because he doesn't like animals. That's such a red flag for a 10-year-old. Red flag immediately.
Remember what I said about him?
Joffrey 2.0.
Pretty vibes.
Hate it.
So then they're kind of talking. Maybe he's changed. Kale, you know that shit. And he kind of mentions his brother, and then Dorian's like, oh, I don't really normally talk about Kale's family.
Yeah.
So then they mention that Selena has dinner plans with Archer Finn, trying to get information. Kale's like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And Dorian's like, I don't think you need to worry about Archer stealing her away. Kale's like, you think that's what I'm worried about?
Yeah.
I think that I'm worried that they're going to steal her away. Yeah. Dorian's picked up on this whole vibes that
obviously
like each other, and then he's also kind of pissed because he still likes her, but not going to hold him back. We go to Selena, who is in a very scandalous scarlet dress.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, I would very much enjoy this dress.
Exactly.
Love me red.
Yes. And the fact that Kale does like a full double take.
He's like,
and then he's like, you're not wearing that. No, I am. And then I think it's so smart though, because if he's like, do you even have any weapons on you? Yes, I have weapons. And hopefully that's exactly what Archer's going to be thinking as well.
Being stupid. I'm doing this for a reason. Not actually trying to flirt with this man.
We're being very intentional with our choices right now.
And then she's getting kind of mad that he keeps contemplating that she does this for a living. And she's like, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh.
That was great.
And
you're a smart boy. Figure it out yourself.
Did it, but she said it. What do you tomorrow? She's like, you're a smart boy. Figure it out.
It's so silly. So
then we get into dining with Archer, where obviously he knows how to compliment a lady.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're doing their whole kind of flirty conversation at dinner. He starts asking about how she ended up working for the king. Doesn't really tell all of it, but kind of dances around it.
Yeah.
To our esteemed owners.
And he says no to us.
And then we get to after dinner, they get in the carriage.
Which is where we should have ended.
Where he's trying to get her to come inside. And he's like, it's different when it's what I want. Yeah. And then we get to being free. And then at the very end, the king sent me to kill you.
Which is where we should have ended.
It's where we should have ended.
That would have been a great cliffhanger. However, we don't know how to communicate.
So then we get to the beginning of the next chapter where he throws himself to the back of the carriage and pulls out a dagger. And then
just doesn't shut up about like word vomiting information.
Trying to get out any information that he can that's going to get him to be saved.
Yeah.
So then he's throwing out all this information that they got the wrong people, and there's this group, and that they think that they're going to bring back some lost heir of Terrasen.
Yeah, some lost heir of Terrasen. Let's just gloss over that for a second. And have no suspicions about that at all.
And she's like, Aelin Galathynius is dead. They don't think so.
I also don't think so, for the record.
He's looking to reestablish her court for what's left of King Orlan's inner circle. And she's like, no, there's no way that she can be alive, because if it's true, then what the hell are these people doing?
Then she had to be an imposter. What makes you say that she has to be an imposter?
Because she's dead, apparently. And then, was it mere coincidence that Nehemia mentioned that about Terrasen the same morning that she was going to talk to her? Weird. That Nehemia has the same little thoughts. So then we get through this, they're still talking, and Celaena gives her little spiel of, I'm not going to kill you, get me information, or you leave right now. He's like, all right, cool, I'll get this information, give me a month. And then gives the information of a party. We love parties.
Love a good party.
She gets invited to, and she's like, all right, send the information to the castle under Lillian. If it turns out to be a load of nonsense, I'm going to reconsider my offer. We get to the last part where she goes into Chaol's bedroom, even though it's midnight.
It's midnight, and she thought that he would be asleep.
Yeah. But she still had to go there before he went to bed. And you could tell that he had obviously been pacing. And he's like, I thought you weren't coming home. And she blows it off. Turns out it wasn't as dashing as I remembered. So then they kind of go into the information. Not all of the information. But
no. Major parts were left out.
The parts that'll convince Chaol that she's not lying. And then we get to this whole part where he still says to be careful. And she gets all pissed off. And is like, don't tell me to be careful. I know what I'm doing. And he's like, I worry because I care about you. And I know I shouldn't care, but I do.
And she's like, my bad.
The end. Yeah.
And now you have your own birthday party to get to.
So we will be leaving.
And remember to like, comment, subscribe, share all the good things.
And next time we're going to head into a different party of our own with Archer Finn.
Correct.
Except for one almost spoiler, which really isn't that important.
I was going to say, speaking of...
Delaney sent me a TikTok. And she's like, I think this is a spoiler, but I stopped reading it immediately to you to check. It's not that important.
Okay.
With someone who hasn't even been introduced yet.
So what's funny is I have no idea. So when I'm like on TikTok or just like on social media, I've been trying really hard to avoid spoilers. But I only know so many characters at this point. So there's a TikTok that had come up for me, and I saw Dorian's name, but it wasn't until like a good part through like what the text was. So I like got partway through the text and had like processed his name, but my eyes definitely like saw content on there. But I didn't process that content, but my eyes saw it. So like something in my brain clicked of, this is really confusing. So we're just gonna have to like put a pin in to understand at some point later on, and we can come back and discuss this. But I
in Kingdom of Ash
immediately texted and was like, so I think I accidentally just got a spoiler, but I'm really confused about it. And then I like covered the TikTok, be able to like send it to you. And then you were like, that had me actually laughing out loud.
I also got the text of, I think this is a spoiler. So then I opened TikTok and I had already seen the TikTok and I immediately laughed out because I was like, she has no idea what this means.
No, but like, I don't even know what I saw because I saw his name and then some content after that. And I was like, but I scrolled before my brain could process it. So like, no, like really what was, I'm sure this is going to make more sense. Get to go back and I can process what this TikTok says and it'll,
Yeah, we'll come back to TikTok in 7 books. So
incredible. I love that. I love that. Nothing like a slow burn. Anyway,